specifically designed for the driven. Introducing the first ever Infiniti QX30 crossover. Infiniti, empower the drive.
Hey guys, Jordan with the Young Turks. Hope everyone's day is going well. I have been buried with Wikileaks. Just when you think you'll get a little break and you can actually dig through more of the leaks, they release another part. So yesterday was part 3. Today is part 4. And only a few hours after releasing part 4, they have released part 5. So Emma and I have been busy as a bee going through the leaks, and I've been tweeting up a storm to give you all the information you need for the leaks. I will be going through a lot of the leaks in this report. I'll be looking down to read off my computer, so I'm going to try to look into the camera as much as possible, but some of it I will be looking down. So you should know that. For those of you unfamiliar, WikiLeaks started releasing emails they hacked from John Podesta. John Podesta is the chairman of Hillary Clinton's campaign. He used to be a staffer for a high-level advisor to President Obama. He worked in the Clinton White House for Bill Clinton, so he's a lifelong Clinton ally, and his email was hacked dating back years. So there's emails with all the people, the higher-ups in the Clinton campaign, and WikiLeaks started releasing his emails on Friday. So they've released 5 parts so far, and we're talking thousands of emails at this point. So I'll be reading to you the emails that I find to be the most noteworthy. Again, I'll be looking down for some of this, so my apologies. But first one I found interesting that I saw this morning was an email from a Florida Democratic operative. So this was the former Democratic chairman of the Palm Beach County Democrats, so Florida. So he writes an email to the campaign saying, "So here's my idea. Bernie and his people have been bitching about superdelegates and the huge percentage that have come out for Hillary. Since the original idea was to bring our elected officials to the convention ex officio, why not throw Bernie a bone and reduce the superdelegates in the future to the original draft of members of the House and Senate, governors, and big city mayors, eliminating the DNC members who are not state chairs or vice chairs, parentheses. Frankly, DNC members don't really represent constituencies anyway. I should know. I served on the DNC first as executive director and then as an elected member for 10 years. So if we give," they put quotes around give, "if we give Bernie this in the convention's rules committee, his people will think they've won," one is in air quotes, "something from the party establishment. And it functionally doesn't make any difference anyway. They win, we don't lose, everyone is happy." So essentially this guy is telling Hillary's campaign, this is how you get Bernie's campaign to, quote, stop bitching while they were in negotiations for the Democratic platform. He then goes into, why don't you knock off some of the superdelegate numbers, and then you could give them a figurative win. I find it funny that he's saying DNC members don't actually represent any constituency. So at least he's admitting it, that the DNC doesn't really care about the people they're supposed to be representing. So I thought that was very interesting. Moving onward, and if you want to read through all of my tweets, I've been tweeting out a storm. My Twitter is at JORDANCHARITON. So, onward we go. Hillary Clinton's campaign talking about muddying the waters versus Bernie Sanders on Wall Street. So this was an email sent from Jennifer Palmieri, who is the communications director for Hillary Clinton. Quote, "I liked messing with Bernie on Wall Street at a staff level for the purpose of muddying the waters and throwing them off their game a bit, but don't know that it is the most effective contrast for her. Seems like we are picking the fight he wants to have. If we really want to do this, think your formulation is good, but not convinced it is a good idea. I would also try to get less process and more values/outcomes in the sentence about being able to do all parts of the job. Give people a sense of her doing the whole job as POTUS and how it's going to improve their lives. So basically, this email is saying, let's not fight Bernie on Wall Street. That's not a fight we want to have, since our candidate is essentially the candidate of Wall Street and a corporate shill. So at least they are acknowledging the truth in these emails. And for those of you writing bad things about Cenk's not telling me not to report on this. So, lay off the man. He's playing sick. He's been sick like me all week, and he hasn't said a word to me about not covering Hillary Clinton. So I think you all need to calm down. All right. Another one which I found very interesting. Let me find it here. A consultant sent Hillary Clinton's campaign an email about the best way to, quote, limit the number of debates. So, there was a whole thing about there's only 6 debates. The DNC and Debbie Wasserman Schultz was essentially putting them on Sunday nights and, weekends and times nobody would watch. Hillary's campaign said, no, we're for all the debates. But obviously these debates were pretty much, at times you couldn't watch them. I remember the first debate I covered literally was on a Saturday night the week before Christmas. Plenty of people watching on a Saturday night the week before Christmas. So this consultant wrote to them, the schedule as of today consists of 12 separate debates. Oh, he's talking about the Republican. The RNC early in the cycle announced a formal schedule of debates for their primary candidates. The schedule as of today consists of 12 separate debates beginning in August 2015. The RNC debates are logistically spread around the country with no more than one debate in any state. So through internal discussions, we concluded that it was in our interest. This is the Hillary Clinton campaign, I assume, to number one, limit the number of debates and the number in each state. Start the debates as late as possible. I interpret that as late in the primary calendar as possible. Keep debates out of the busy window between February 1st and February 27th. Iowa, New Hampshire, South Carolina. Let's not have debates there because we don't want our candidate to be in front of the American people when the first 3 states are voting. Seems like they're confident about it, huh? 4, create a schedule that would allow the later debates to be canceled if the race is for practical purposes over. 5, encourage an emphasis on local issues and local media participants. 6, ensure a format that provides equal time for all candidates. The one that I found very interesting, at the end they say, through discussion of these goals with the DNC, their current plan is to begin a debate schedule that would commence in early October with 1 debate a month, 1 each in the early primary and caucus states, and the remaining 2 post-South Carolina. They go on to talk about how they want to try as hard as they can to make sure each debate has more than 1 candidate, because they don't want one-on-one debates with Hillary and somebody else. Obviously, right after the Iowa caucus, it was just Bernie and Hillary because Martin O'Malley dropped out. But they were trying to get debates, limit the number of debates, make sure they're not in the crucial time period between Iowa and South Carolina, and make the criteria so that anybody could really debate. So it wasn't just Hillary Clinton versus Bernie Sanders. So that tells you how confident they were of their candidate. Moving on. Consultants. Let me find the goodies. Oh, I also tweeted, as I look through these emails, I'm laughing because remember when Hillary Clinton's campaign accused Bernie Sanders' campaign of being the most negative campaign in the history of politics? And then you look through these emails and it's like a bad episode of Mean Girls, the movie, how the Clinton campaign carries on. So I want to go through... so we have The Hill, which is a Washington website. It's kind of like Politico. The Hill columnist, his name is Brent Badowski. So his email pops up a lot in these leaks. So Brent Badowski, who's a columnist for thehill.com, writes John Podesta an email. John Podesta is the chairperson of Hillary Clinton's campaign. John Podesta's emails are the ones that were hacked. Brent writes to John, by the way, I may be doing an Elizabeth Warren column soon. If I write that my optimum scenario would be for Elizabeth Warren to ultimately give a big endorsement to Hillary Clinton and give the keynote speech at the convention, totally off the record, would that give you a problem, John? it would be my personal opinion only, but if you have a problem with my suggesting this as my idea, I won't tell anyone and I won't include it, deferring to you. This is a columnist for TheHill.com asking the chairman of the Hillary Clinton campaign if it's okay with him that he write that he thinks Elizabeth Warren should give a big endorsement to Hillary Clinton and then give a keynote speech. So basically, this writer slash journalist, I guess, is essentially allowing the Hillary Clinton's campaign to be his puppet master. He is basically serving up what he wants to write about and asking for approval from Hillary Clinton's campaign. Like, you really can't make this up. So this shows you how in bed most of the mainstream media is with the Clinton campaign. And this is from May of 2015. So this is dating back last year, fairly early, before any votes were cast or anything like that. So you have writers asking for permission for the Clinton campaign, so if they could write something. So pretty startling, if you ask me. Moving onward, we go. Keep going. Oh, so yeah, a Democrat, Philip Raines, is a longtime aide to Hillary Clinton. He actually played Donald Trump in their mock debates before the first debate. So he sent an email to the campaign about the emails and releasing the 55,000 emails that Hillary Clinton was supposed to release. So, quote, not as flippantly, and maybe just from Nick's mouth, but rather than going around and around on how to release the 55,000 emails, let's just be for what's happening and use this as the excuse. Because we could say even if state has equities, not providing them would put her in legal jeopardy. Or we say happy for them to have it, happy for the public to read them as soon as state is comfortable. But let's somehow take advantage of this. So basically, Philip Raines is pretty much plotting what excuses to make for Hillary Clinton, either to delay releasing the emails. Yeah, to delay releasing the emails. This is, by the way, after she was subpoenaed for them. So you can see in writing that Hillary Clinton's campaign is actively trying to plot how she could delay or make excuses for releasing the emails. And that's from Philip Raines, who is a longtime aide to Hillary Clinton. So here's another good one. Hillary Clinton's campaign apparently wanted to attack Bernie Sanders for doing what they say he wasn't doing. They criticized him. He doesn't raise any money for the Democrats. He's not a Democrat. So you have an email from somebody at Bill Clinton's, Bill Clinton's charity, or the Clinton Foundation, writing, Bernie is at the DSCC retreat. So that would be the Democratic Senate Campaign Committee. Meaning Bernie is at the retreat and he's helping the Democrats in the Senate fundraise. So Brian Fallon, who's Hillary Clinton's spokesperson or press secretary, responds OMG to Bernie being at the Democratic Senate Campaign Committee meeting. John Podesta, who is the chairman for the whole campaign, writes, can we tweet? Can we tweet that? So they're essentially, I guess, wanting to attack Bernie for fundraising for the Democrats. I guess they were trying to suggest that he's a hypocrite because he's out, kowtowing to donors and, trying to make it seem like he's not authentic when he criticizes Hillary Clinton. It's pretty stupid, actually. Here we go. A really, really funny one, and I strongly suggest you look this up on YouTube. Apparently, Hillary Clinton's people literally wrote her a script, an entire script that she could read from when she did an interview with MSNBC's Chris Hayes. So Chris Hayes, on at 8 o'clock on MSNBC, did an interview with Hillary Clinton over the phone. So Hillary Clinton just called in to the interview. There's literally an email where Hillary Clinton is reading words from a script that her campaign wrote for her in answering Chris Hayes. You can't make it up. Google or YouTube, Hillary Clinton, Chris Hayes interview. It'll come up. The video's like a minute and a half long. It shows the script that was written for her, and she's literally reading from a script to do a phone interview. This is how scripted this candidate is. It's mind-boggling. There's really no evidence that Chris Hayes actually fed the campaign the questions beforehand, so I'm not attacking Chris Hayes, but this just shows, literally her campaign has to write out scripted paragraphs for her to answer to do a phone interview with MSNBC. Does this sound like an authentic candidate to you? You be the judge. So definitely YouTube or Google Chris Hayes Hillary Clinton interview. So let's get some more. Hillary Clinton. Oh yeah, so Ken Vogel from Politico reported this one. His tweet said Hillary Clinton was open to using a PAC as a platform, a super PAC, as a platform to launch her 2016 campaign. A technique campaign finance reformers say violates the spirit of the law. So let me read you the email. This is from Robbie Mook. He is Hillary Clinton's campaign manager. He writes, would appreciate thoughts on this. He's writing to the other campaign officials. I would appreciate your thoughts on this. I was frankly surprised yesterday by her opponents, by her openness to starting a PAC, etc. For that reason, my recommendation here is to open an exploratory committee. It has advantages over a PAC, and I think they're the same in the eyes of the media. I assume for all scenarios that nothing happens before the midterm elections are over. Feedback welcome. So this was written in April 1st, 2014. Hillary Clinton was still deciding whether she should run for president, which obviously is bullshit. So they're saying Hillary Clinton is open to basically using a super PAC as her unofficial platform to launch her campaign, to raising money, all those things. So this definitely shows a candidate who finds it important to overturn Citizens United and get money out of politics, for sure. Moving onward. And by the way, guys, if you're interested, I just wrote a piece. You can find it on Mediaite.com. So that is MEDIAITE.com. I write pieces for them from time to time. The headline is Hillary Clinton and corporate media shamefully stronger together. So kind of a pun on her campaign slogan. And I basically just go example of the media being in the tank for Hillary Clinton as shown in these emails, and the media not covering any of the Wikileaks. I mean, they're covering Trump 24/7 because they're indicted in these emails. A lot of journalists are in these emails, and it shows clear favoritism from those journalists for Hillary Clinton. So if you want to write that, the headline, if you want to read that, Hillary Clinton and corporate media shamefully stronger together. You could also find the link on my Facebook page, just Jordan Chariton. JORDAN, last name CHARITON. So that's a little shameless plug for myself. Back to the emails. Let me find the next one. And, so this one was good. Uma Abedin, who is Hillary Clinton's right-hand woman, currently still married to Anthony Weiner, but they'll be getting a divorce because of Weiner's escapades, but has been with Hillary Clinton for years. She basically wrote an email saying, I don't think we could survive not talking to the press all summer. As you know, Hillary Clinton pretty much avoided the press for an entire summer. She didn't have a press conference, I think, for most of the year. And Uma Abedin basically said in this email, how are we supposed to survive? Can we survive not answering questions from the press? She went on her speech. Hold on. The email got a little distorted. Basically, she's saying in this email, she's giving these great policy speeches, but since we're not talking to the press, it's being overshadowed. So John Podesta, who is the campaign manager, said it would be suicidal not to talk to the press going forward. Let me find you the quote. In contrast, Abedin wrote, the Democratic presidential nominee's desired narrative got lost when she took questions after other speeches. So they're saying when she actually takes questions, it's not good for her because they're not going to ask about your policy speeches. They're going to ask about the emails and other things. In the fall, starting to do avails at message events, interviews, and Q&A with press, but having had a series of policy proposals already announced and reported on that she could point to. Clinton campaign chairman John Podesta disagreed. If she thinks we could go to Labor Day without taking press questions, I think that's suicidal. He wrote back. We have to find some mechanism to let the stream out of the pressure cooker. So essentially, the campaign is trying to shield her from the media because they know if they give her to the media, bad things are going to happen. She got a lot of bad things she was trying to hide, including most of the things in these emails. So it just shows you that her campaign was very, very protective of her because they know she's got quite a bit of bodies in the closet trying to hide. Another one that I found pretty funny. If you're familiar with Neera Tanden, she is the president of the Center for American Progress. They claim to be progressive. I don't think they're progressive. She's against $15 minimum wage and other things. But it's a think tank that claims to be a progressive think tank. Neera Tanden is all over these emails. You can find, I've already found 10 emails. And she's basically a tool for the Hillary Clinton campaign. But the New York Times, I guess, wrote a nasty story about Hillary Clinton. So Neera Tanden writes to the campaign, fuck these assholes, about the New York Times. So that tells you she's the president of the Center for American Progress, which is supposed to be an unbiased think tank. Very, very unbiased. I'm going to speed it up here. There was one where Bill de Blasio, the mayor of New York City, emailed to Hillary Clinton's campaign saying Hillary was about her performance at a debate. Hillary was fantastic on the gun control answer, then totally blew the mass incarceration question. Why on earth did she say, are you going to ask Bernie Sanders that question? Instead of just addressing the issue. When she makes it about her, she loses the high ground. Stating the obvious, I know, but she keeps doing it. So when she makes it about her, she loses the moral high ground. So that's from Bill de Blasio. Let's move on. Oh, so a Hillary Clinton advisor calls Bernie Sanders' plan for Wall Street dumb. So it's in an email exchange, essentially about they're debating whether to go toe-to-toe with Bernie Sanders on Wall Street. And Jake Sullivan, who's an advisor to Hillary Clinton, writes, "Why is it not credible that he has really dumb plans for Wall Street?" Yeah, so I guess holding banks accountable for mass fraud, stealing trillions of dollars from average people, that's just a dumb plan. So that's one of her advisors said that. Moving onward, we go. Hillary Clinton's campaign was very upset at the AFL-CIO president. His name's Richard Trumka, because AFL-CIO president went on, I guess, Meet the Press and said that Vice President Joe Biden, when that was still kind of in flux, whether Biden would be running for president, that he has fought for working people all his life. Hillary Clinton's campaign wrote, that implies Hillary Clinton has not. So you can see how trivial and how petty they are and how, what political monsters they really are. Just about the most simplistic things, like the president of the AFL-CIO going on Meet the Press and praising Vice President Biden. That implies Hillary Clinton has not been fighting for Wikileaks. That Hillary Clinton has been fighting for working people all her life. I mean, she hasn't. That's just the truth. Moving on. Oh, I found this one very interesting. Politico found this one, so I've got to give credit. John Podesta sends an email, and they're talking about Hillary Clinton's, where she stands on privacy versus privacy and the Edward Snowden camp versus empowering law enforcement. Podesta writes, her instincts are to buy some of the law enforcement arguments on crypto, I guess that means encryption, and Snowden-type issues. So maybe tough, but worth looking for an opening. So basically her instincts are law enforcement is great, let's move away from the Edward Snowden, privacy and exposing, government basically prying into our lives, obtaining our data, obtaining personal conversations. So, and, it makes sense since Hillary Clinton was totally on board with everything George W. Bush did with the Patriot Act and all that business. So, moving onward, we have Bernie Sanders also provided a statement to me in response to the latest leaks. I think he gave me the statement first, so I'll just read that to you. He said, the job of the progressive movement now is to look forward, not backwards. No matter what Secretary Clinton may have said years ago behind closed doors, what's important today is that millions of people stand up and demand that the Democratic Party implement the most progressive platform in the history of our country. Secretary Clinton and I worked together to develop a platform that demands the United States government stand up to the billionaire class and represents the interests of working families. That has to be the agenda for Secretary Clinton if she is elected president, and the Democrats and of Democrats in Congress. That platform calls for breaking up big banks, making the wealthy and profitable corporations pay their fair share of taxes, creating millions of jobs, rebuilding our crumbling infrastructure, raising the starvation minimum wage of $7.25 to an hour to a living wage, making public colleges and universities tuition free. It goes on and on, reciting, what he wants. So basically, he doesn't attack Hillary Clinton. He says, let's move on. Let's not move backwards. That statement is on my Twitter as well as my Facebook page if you want to read it in full. I'll give you a few more. Let's see here. Oh, yeah, so Hillary Clinton's campaign was plotting in emails how to spin the fact that Bernie Sanders was doing so much better than her in polls when going head-to-head versus Donald Trump. As the Young Turks reported, as I reported, Bernie Sanders was crushing Trump in the primaries, but Hillary Clinton's campaign kept pushing she's the better candidate. So here was in writing what they were saying. This is how they're going to spin it. Quote, she's vetted. He is not. So the polls mean nothing, meaning she's vetted by, the media, and she's been in politics for 30 years. He apparently hasn't been vetted, even though he's been in politics just as long as her. Quote, the person the Republicans and Trump are worried about running against is her, not him. That's why they're running ads against her. That's why they're running ads to help him. That's why the RNC has released press statements and even tweets admitting that they are behind Sanders, because the person they don't want to run against is Hillary. That's ridiculous. Another one, relying on polls to show you are worthy of being president is what Trump himself does. So, just absurd spinning to try to basically make people not believe the numbers. Bernie Sanders was beating Trump head-to-head, somewhere between 10 and 15 points at some times, whereas Hillary Clinton, this whole time, was only up maybe 4 or 5 points. Meanwhile, they ran with Hillary Clinton. So, that tells you that. I'll do 1 or 2 more for you. This one I found funny. It doesn't have anything to do with Hillary Clinton. This goes back to 2011. But in an email, Sheikh Mohammed, who is the ruler of Dubai, says he wants to speak with Bill Clinton. Somebody from Bill Clinton's campaign, someone from the Clinton Foundation writes, unless Sheikh Mo has sent us a $6 million check, this sounds crazy to do. You write the check, Sheikh Mohammed, or I'm not talking to you. So that's Clinton. That's the Clinton Foundation. That's the Clinton way. Let's see. Oh, so Hillary Clinton, she had to do an interview on her emails when the email scandal got too hot. Her campaign apparently thought, who should we go to first for an interview? Who's the friendliest journalist we could find? Their options, number 1, Monday interview with MSNBC's Andrea Mitchell. Number 2, Sunday interview with MSNBC's Andrea Mitchell. So as you can see, the tough reporters and anchors at MSNBC are Hillary Clinton's go-to when she needed to do an interview. And Andrea Mitchell and her did a very, very cuddly interview at the end of August of last year. So that's most of the emails that I have gone through today. There's no bombshell going to take her down, but it's just a lot of emails that show her campaign was essentially, she's like the Clay candidate. I did a video at TYT Politics. If you're not subscribed, youtube.com/TYT Politics. She is a Clay candidate. You could mold her in different ways. They basically change her views, adopt policy positions as they go in order to win a primary and ultimately the election. I mean, there's no better example that they literally had to write her a script to read off of when she did a phone interview with MSNBC's Chris Hayes. You think Bernie Sanders is reading from a script to do an interview? No, on the phone or otherwise. So this is someone who is not, from these emails, with someone who possesses a core principles that she doesn't have to read from a script, or you don't need to mold her policies as she goes. So I'll be reporting more on the leaks as they go. Part 4 came out today, and then Part 5 came out. So it seems like they're releasing sometimes 2 parts a day. So I'll be busy. Follow me on Twitter at Jordan Sheridan. Emma Viglin, who's my colleague over at TYT Politics, she's also doing videos on this. You could follow her at Emma Viglin. We just passed 84,000 84,000 subscribers at TYT Politics. If you're not subscribed, go over and subscribe. We do videos and content like this all the time. I don't cover Trump a lot. I know many of you don't like how much Trump is covered. I barely cover him. I don't think I need to duplicate what everybody else in the media is doing. So I've been covering Hillary Clinton a lot and the corruption in the Democratic Party. We also do have videos. My cameraman, Eric Byler, is traveling covering Trump this week. So we have a mix of everything. Go over and subscribe. And you could read my piece if you didn't hear before. Hillary Clinton and corporate media shamefully stronger together. That's up on my Facebook and Twitter. Thanks, guys.